Hey everybody, Mario Barth, Intense Tattooing, with some more answers to your questions. We have a huge question what comes in over and over, and I know I answered it already in the past once, but I'm going to do this again a little bit more in detail now. It's a question: what's the difference between a color mixing solution and a special shading solution? It says it already in the name. It's one is meant for colors, right? Like and the other one is meant for shading, for black and gray shading. So it's basically the color mixing solution, the part what we make the color with when we start from the powder and we start liquefying the color. That's basically the same solution what you have in the color mixing solution. And so it's basically you do not put another foreign substance into the color, right? Like it's not only distilled water. There's some other items in there. There's parts of witch hazel in there. There's USB grade propylene glycol in there, and there's some glycerin in there. Those are things what are really important to stabilize the color, right? That when you make the powder mix, how the separation works. How the particles bind together. And if you use something, let's say you would take just distilled water and you try to dilute the color, you actually change the composition of the color itself. When you go though and you take the same mixing solution what is used for the dispersion, and then you basically just make a thinner color, so that at that moment you use the same ingredients is just in a higher percentage, which means if you would have 100%, if you would add 100% distilled water to a finished product, you would actually increase the already amount of water in the color only, and you would actually lose the effect of the other ingredients which are in there. That's what the special color mixing solution is, or the color mixing solution. The big part with the special shading solution is exactly the same for the blacks. So the black pigment is stabilized with a certain mixture of liquefier, right? It's a powder that we're adding the liquid to it, and then it becomes a liquid form of that powder which mixes up, and it has the intensity of a black pigment, and different colors we have different intensities. So again, there as well, you want to use that same solution what we use for in the dispersion of the powder. You want to use that specific solution to stretch it and make it out to create a lighter tone. Just be aware of when you put that to it, it will break down your pigment and make it lighter. So it's not that you can add it to it and the black stays the same intensity and has the same light fastness. It will go on and it will make it gradually, like depends how much you add to it, a more gray shade or a grayish looking color, a more diluted black pigment. So those are the two issues which are very, very different. Why is there two separate solutions? Also a very often asked question. There is, because black is on a different base than all the colors. That's the reason why. Black is a finer pigment what we're using than the colors. The colors are bigger size and particle. They bind different because we need the reflection of the pigments what your eye can recognize as color, right? It's a color pigment is something, it's a small particle which has a certain frequency, right? Like where you look at it and the light what falls in it, it sends an impulse back, and your eye recognizes that as red pigment or blue or green or whatever. So it's like it has a bigger surface area what it sends back, so it has a different approach. The particles of the black pigment, especially by us, so I don't know if there are similarities for other companies, but the black is smaller particles, so we need a different dilutant, so we need a different carrier on different parts, which actually make the color a little bit easier to disperse, and that it stays in the dispersion state, that it doesn't become powder, or it doesn't separate again. So this is the basic part for all colors. It's not only for Intenze. I believe it's also with every other color company on the market. You should always use use their agent, what they use to mix. It's just you will just get a better result, and that's what it's all about, right? It's have a better product that makes it easier for you to create better art. So in the meantime, for that, all the best. Send your questions in. If this didn't help, ask again, check on the internet, keep on buzzing, and I'll see you soon.